Hey guys, this is lesson 5.1 for pre-algebra. So 5.1 is comparing and ordering rational numbers. So here are some notes. So steps for comparing fractions. So if I give you a couple fractions, like 2 or 3, and I ask you to compare them, number 1, you must have the same denominator. So it says for number 2, rewrite the fractions with a common denominator, and then you can compare the numerators. So here is an example. 7/12 and 5/9. So if I want to compare them, I really don't know what they are because they're both a little bit above a half. So I really don't know which one's bigger than the other one. So I need to do 7/12 and 5/9, and I need to make them a common denominator. So I have to find a common denominator. I could just do times this by 9 and this by 9, this by 12 and this by 12. That's the easiest way. You don't have to really think. You just have to know your multiplication tables. So 7 times 9 is 63. And 9 times 12 is 108, right? 9 times 10 is 90, and 9 times 2 is 18. 90 plus 18 is 108. So 5 times 12 is 60, so it's 60. And then 9 times 12 is 90 plus 1, so 108. So you get 63 over 108 and 60 over 108. So if I compare these fractions, I know that 7/12 is greater than 5/9. You're going to use your greater than, less than, or equal to signs. And I know it's greater than because 63 is greater than 60. All right, so here's a couple more examples. Compare these two problems. Push pause, and then we'll go over them. All right, so I need to compare 3/4 and 5/6. So I am going to have a common denominator. If you have a common denominator of 12, that's completely fine. I'm just doing it the old-fashioned way, multiply by the other denominator. 3 times 6 is 18, and 4 times 6 is 24. 5 times 4 is 20, and 6 times 4 is 24. So I know that 3/4 is less than 5/6. Now remember, it's less than, so that looks like an L. If you remember that, less than looks like an L. So 1/6 and 2/9. So I have to have a common denominator. So this is 9 over 54. And this is 12 over 54. So I know that 1/6 is less than 2/9. And it does not require a ton. It's just multiplication tables. Pretty simple. So Ella wants to paint her room. She found 4/7 gallon of yellow paint, 2/3 gallon of blue paint, and 5/8 gallon of green paint. Order these amounts from least to greatest. So if I have 4/7, 2/3, and 5/8, I need to find a number that they all have in common. So how you can find that is by listing out the multiples of each number. So it's called the LCM, which is kind of, it should be a review for you. So I would have, if I listed these out, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56. So if I listed out 8, I'm going to do my two biggest numbers first because they're going to be harder to match up, and then I'll see if 3 goes into it. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, and 56. And then I want to see if 3 goes into 56. So I just do some quick math. 3 does not go into 26. 3 times 9 is 27, so 3 times 8 is 24. So now I don't have an easy one yet. So if I don't have an easy common denominator, the last resort, I would say, is to divide and do some long division. Now, if I have long division, that means I'm going to do 4 divided by 7. So I'm going to put 7 on the outside, 4 on the inside. 4 cannot go into 7, so that becomes a 0. And 7 goes into 40 5 times, which is 35. And then I have 5 remainder, and I bring down another 0. 7 goes into 50 7 times. So it's 0.57. So now I know that is a fraction to a decimal, so I'm going to do the next one, 2/3. So 3 goes on the outside, goes into 2. 3 can't go into 2. 3 goes into 20 6 times, which is 18. And then I have 2 left over. I bring another 0 down, and I just keep repeating. And then lastly, I have 5/8. 8 can't go into 5. 8 goes into 50 6 times, which is 48. I have 2 left over, bring down a 0. 8 goes into 20 twice. So I have 0.62. So now I can order them based on their decimals. Now that requires a lot more work than just finding the common denominator. That's why I always try to do the common denominator first. So my smallest one is 4/7. And then my next one is 5/8. And then my next is 2/3. So I ordered them from least to greatest. Now you have to show your work. If you do it this way, you have to show your work. If you do it the other way with common denominators, you also have to show your work. Of which color is there the least amount? So 4/7 was the least, so that was yellow. And of which color is there the greatest amount, which is 2/3, and that is blue. So she'd probably want to choose blue because she'd have the most paint for her room. All right, so now, find the LCM of 6 and 8. So if I ask you to find the LCM of a number, of two numbers, you put them out, and I always try to use the letters as words to remind me. So it's kind of like list the multiples. So just list out the multiples. 6, 12, I'm multiplying, I'm getting bigger. 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60. Okay? And then list out the multiples of 8. So I have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, and you can keep going. Now, the least common multiple is the number that they both have in common that's the smallest. So if you notice, they both have 48, because 6 times 8 is 48, but they also both have 24. So since 24 is the lowest one, that would be the number I would choose, so should choose. So that would be like a common denominator. If I had to find a common denominator between 6 and 8, 24 would work and 48 would work, but 24 is the smallest one. It would already be simplified. So now, here's where they get into a little bit harder concept. It says find the LCM of variable expressions. So they want you to find the LCM of 6a squared and 18a to the third. So write this down. 6a squared and 18a to the third. So there's a couple different ways to do this. If I want the LCM, okay, if you remember, GCF, I would draw little factor trees, and I would look at what they have in common. Well, they both have a 2 and a 3, so it would be 6, and then they both have 2 A's. That is the GCF, okay? 6A squared is the GCF. I want the LCM this time. So I'm going to erase this and show you how to do that. LCM, what you're going to do is start with your numbers, 6 and 18. So you're going to list out the multiples, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, okay? And then I have 18 plus 18 is 36, and then I can keep going, but I see right off the bat that 18 is my lowest common multiple. So then 18 is my answer, and then if I'm looking at the letters, you end up taking the highest one. So if you look back here, it shows you. Use the greatest power of each factor. So the greatest power of each factor. So even though it's the least common multiple, I didn't use 6. I ended up using 18. So I'm not going to use a squared. I use a to the third. So a to the third. I want whatever one has the most. I want whatever has the biggest power. So if you look back here at this example, 18a to the third is the answer, is the LCM. So let's try 2 more. You can try them on your own. And push pause, and then we'll go over them. All right, so 8 and 14. So I have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, and then we'll try 14. So 14, 28, 42, 56. Okay, so I found one. So 56 is my number that I'm going to use. 56, and then I look at what they have. So they both have an m, and it's m to the fourth. I take the greatest power of each. If they have 2 numbers, I would take both of them. But this only has 1, so I take the m to the fourth power. Okay, so now I have 25 and 15. So 25, 50, 75, 100. 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. So then I see that they both have 75. So 75 is my LCM. And then since there's an X and a Y, I have to take both numbers and I take the highest power of each number. So I take the highest power of each one, and I get 75xy squared. All right, that is it for your note.